In this video, I want to talk about why most business owners actually miss their goals and how to fix it. Now, a few years ago, I set 10 goals actually for the year. So I love to use the time between Christmas and New Year's to actually plan and set my goals, reflect the old year and kind of plan the new year. And that year, I actually set 10 goals. I've read some books on goal setting and I was ready to attack the new year and to actually set the goal. They were big goals, meaningful goals. So they were goals that actually mattered, that would move the needle. And do you know how many I reached? I did not reach a single one. I did not reach a single one and I wanted to give up on goal setting altogether. I was so frustrated that basically I swore I would never set goals again. This just doesn't work. This whole idea of goal setting and these books that would take you, if you just write them down and if you kind of remember them and review them every day, you will reach your goal. Well, it did not happen. But then I realized the problem really wasn't just kind of me or the goals. It was the way I was setting the goals in the first place, because I was missing one crucial piece of a meaningful goal. And so today I want to show you a very simple framework that finally made hitting goals very predictable. And the best thing is basically if you stay until the end, I give you a framework and exercise. You can actually get this document and you can walk through it and it will help you to actually set great goals, but also actually make sure you are doing things that will make sure that you reach the goals you are setting. So let's jump in. My big mistake. So for years, I measured the wrong things in my business. I told myself that I was basically analytic and data driven. So I always believed in this idea of a scorecard, a kind of a dashboard. I checked revenue, profit, cost per lead, monthly sales. I wanted to know my numbers. So I was basically on top of everything. But all those numbers were only showing me what had already happened. And that really is the key. If we only focus on what happened in the past, we can't really predict the future. Now, they were records of yesterday's decisions. By the time something looked bad, it was already too late to fix it. And so I was constantly reacting. I was kind of always felt like I was a step behind. I was busy firefighting. I realized I was running my business while looking in the rear view mirror only. And that's basically exhausting way to lead. And if you look too long, basically you're also gonna have an accident. So maybe you feel the same way, working harder, measuring more numbers, and still not feeling like you're really in control. Here's the turning point. There is a simple distinction that changed how I think about performance, decision-making, and growth. This is the crucial piece. There are numbers that describe the past, okay? We've talked about them. They basically show us how we did. And then there are numbers that basically shape the future. And if we bring both numbers together, you will actually have a big change when it comes to goal setting and really being effective in your business. So the difference is, and some have called them lagging indicators. So they're indicators that are lagging a little bit behind, and then there are leading indicators. So basically they are leading into the future. Now, once you see the difference, you finally understand what to measure, where to focus, and how to grow with confidence instead of stress, because you know what to adjust and you're not just reacting because something maybe is off from the goal you actually set. So let's start looking at the lagging indicator trap. Let's start with numbers most people obsess over. Revenue. Okay, how much money did we make? How much profit? What's the profit margin? Customer churn. How many customers are we losing? Cash position, closing rate. All these are lagging indicators. Basically, they measure outcomes after they happened. Okay, so they are useful, they are needed, but they are basically too long and you will end up in a ditch if you look at them too long, because you are basically only looking at the past. Lagging indicators answer, how did the business perform? So they define reality. How are we doing? And that's important. They are basically, did our strategy work? Did customers stay or leave? These are important numbers. So they show us the truth, but always too late. They basically always show us the truth too late. This is why many business owners live in a constant cycle of reacting. You know, revenue drops, there is panic. Profit disappears, panic. Clients cancel, panic, because we are basically always a step behind. By the time the numbers reveal the problem, the damage is already done. Okay, and that's basically exhausting. So, lagging indicators are essential because they tell us the truth and the reality, but they're not enough. So, the indicators that predict the future. If lagging indicators show the past, there are leading indicators that actually predict the future. They actually show us and predict us, are we going to reach the goal, the lagging indicator? Are we getting the outcome or not? So a leading indicator is measurable action that strongly correlates with the result you want later. So it is connected to your goal, but it actually shows, will we, if we do this, actually reach the goal we have set? Leading indicators are all allow you to adjust basically before you crash, because you see that if this is off, you need to change something so that you in the end still reach your goal. They put you in control of the future. The way I put it is basically lagging indicators are success goals. So they are goals that we are setting, and if we reach them, we feel like there is success in our business. And then there are leading indicators, and I call them success activities. So these are the activities that actually make sure we are getting our results. So here's the difference. The one basically are activities, and the other ones basically are the results of the activity. So often we only look at the goals, the lagging indicators, and the results, rather than also looking at the activities, which are the leading indicators, which are actually basically our strategy of how we are making sure that we are reaching this goal. So it's not just basically we're just all about goal setting, we are also about the strategy and putting goals basically in the category of strategy and activities that we know that if we do them on a consistent basis, we actually, with a high likability, we will actually get the results. Okay, so most business owners stare only at the right far side, and great business leaders manage what happens on the left, the activities as well. So here's the correct correct way to use both. Lagging indicators measure performance. Leading indicators drive the performance. Use lagging indicators to answer, is the business working? Use leading indicators to answer, are we doing the activities that actually create success on a consistent basis, correlating with the goal, the success goal we have identified. So when a lagging indicator is off, so if we are off on our goal that we have set, on our success goal, the problem is always hiding in the leading indicator. There's always some activities that were not performed well enough on a consistent basis, or they were just the wrong indicators, and that's why we did not reach the goal. So if revenue is down, normally outreach was down weeks ago. You should have caught on to this weeks before if you would have tracked the success activities and not just the success goals. The same is true with the turn is high, client success actions slipped earlier. If profit collapse, basically we stopped being efficient long before it appeared on the report card. So lagging indicators reveal kind of the symptoms, and leading indicators reveal the cause, what actually is the cause of why the symptoms happened. So these basically always correlate together. Basically, when you manage a team, this is the crucial piece. Not everyone can be held accountable for revenue, for example. Just say you want a 20% increase of revenue. This is your goal. Now go get it. Not everybody can perform on that level, but everyone can be accountable for sales calls made. Because if you know how many sales calls do I need to make to basically increase the revenue, let's say by 20%, we have to increase the sales calls made by 20%. Now this of course has to be true, but if it is true, we basically now can really measure the sales calls and make sure that we increase them by 20% and make sure that this is we hold people accountable for this. Now, manage results only and morale dies, manage actions and outcomes together, and I really believe people perform. So practical examples basically for business owners. So in sales, if we want to look at the revenue, maybe a leading indicator is how many messages are we sending out, how many book calls are we booking, how many proposals are we delivering. If you know basically from 10 proposals that you are delivering, let's say you get 3 people that actually become your clients, you know that if you increase this number, your revenue automatically will increase. Now, if you can even go a step earlier and kind of identify, so if this is true, this correlation is true, you just have to increase the proposals delivered to increase your revenue, you can ask the next question, basically, what do you have to do to get more proposals delivered? What activity? And if you have basically, if you can identify what activity you need to do and to measure, maybe that is calling old clients, engaging leads that are signing up on your website for inquiring some more information, to call them right on the same day. Whatever activity will actually get you to have somebody being able to get a proposal and deliver a proposal, that is your success activity. Because if you can increase this, basically your revenue will go. The marketing would be qualified leads. So the leading indicator could be kind of the landing page views, email opt-ins, how many content pieces do you publish, your ad spend. Sometimes you just know, okay, if your lagging indicator is how many qualified leads you have and you're spending, let's say 10K a month on ads, all you have to do is basically make sure that the ads, you are increasing it to 12K and making sure that the leads, the opt-ins are the same for your qualified leads to actually get there. So you want to break it down to the lowest common thing you can do that shows as an activity. If you keep doing it, you actually reach that goal. And so basically here are some more examples that you can go through. And you can get this document if you just click the link below this video. And there's also actually an application to make sure that you apply this to your own business. So the rule for effective leading indicators, basically you make sure they have a high probability of influencing the desired results. That is the key. You want to make sure that basically if you do it, you get to the result. And if you kind of start tracking it and you see you are not getting to your result, you basically need to adjust your activity. Your team basically needs to be able to control them, so they are actually can be held accountable for that. They need to be measurable. And they need to be ongoing, not just a one-time action or one-time campaign, but actually something that they can do over and over again. So if the goal is basically, let's say, to sign up 5 new clients, maybe this requires 20 sales calls, which would require 50 conversations, short conversations that you call or reach, 3 maybe weekly posts, 10 outbound messages, 1 strategic partnership activated, whatever it is required, find the one thing that with the highest probability will actually get you to this goal, and then make that your lagging indicators. Now, you've all heard about the 80-20 rule, so that basically 20% of your efforts create 80% of the outcomes. So 20% of what you do actually creates 80% of the outcome, and that is true for leading indicators. So there are activities, that are basically, if you just spend 20% of your time, but you get actually 80% of the results because of these activities. And these are the activities that you want to make sure that they are becoming your leading indicators and your success activities. So basically you want to then focus on them, systemize them, repeat them, and basically put them into your scorecard. So the way you then want to kind of really break it down to your business is, number one, select 5 to 7 lagging indicators. Okay, so what are 5 to 7 really goals that you in your business want to kind of get accomplished? Now then step number 2 is you want to choose a leading indicator for each one. Now for complex goals you might choose 2 or 3 leading indicators, because you realize one activity alone will not get us there. We need 2 or 3 that we are measuring. But to keep it simple, I would really say just choose one. And even if you just start with 1 or 2 goals to get started, this is basically when you want to really set it up in your business with a very robust scorecard. You have a goal, you have 1 to maximum 3 of indicators. And then basically step number 3 is you want to review them weekly. Okay, if you don't have a scorecard, there's no accountability. No accountability, there is no improvement. So you want to review it. You want to make sure your team is putting in the numbers. Now, on this channel here, it's all about building a self-managing business. That's what I help hundreds of business owners to actually do all around the world, to build a business where you are basically working on the business, not just in the business. And it really starts with building a clarity of what matters, clarity of who owns the work, so to speak, and clarity of whether progress is happening long before the results appear. And that's why this kind of goal setting is so important, because if you basically have both in place, you will reduce surprises, you catch problems early, you make fewer emotional decisions because you actually have the numbers, not just the goals, but also the numbers that lead to the goals. And then you protect your time as the founder, because you're not just firefighting the whole time, you're actually working on the business rather than in the business. Now here is where the power lies. This is all nice information, but it only leads to transformation if you apply it to your own situation. So get the document below and then kind of work through the application, the success goals and success activities application, where I take you step by step through basically an application and a 12-week outcome reflection on actually implementing that into your business. If you really want to build a self-managing business, I would tell you this is one of the keys that you actually need in order to be very comfortable in removing yourself out of the operations, because you know there are goals and there are activities, and your team is doing the activities that will lead to the goal, which helps you as a business owner to actually kind of take a step back and work on the overall strategy. So get the document and apply it to your situation.